So when I was younger, I used to go to church all the time. All right, I was what you would call a church kid. Born into church. You've been going to church for your entire life since you were born. That's the kid that I was. That's a common thing that people say. But I can tell you truthfully and honestly, I didn't take church seriously. I didn't really go to church to actually want to go to church. There were days where I really didn't want to go to church. I just went to church every Sunday for an hour because that's what the rest of my family did, so I did. And I didn't take it seriously. I really didn't live that life. My life didn't really involve God that much. And so outside of church, I wasn't, I never got into anything bad. I knew I was still a good kid. I've always been a good kid, but it just wasn't a big aspect of my life. I didn't care much about it. I just went to church, and then it's a daily routine, and it didn't matter that much to me. So when my church had a falling out, this is why this is important, when my church had kind of a falling out, something was voted on in our church that a majority actually didn't want, but they still decided yes, and so I think that they still decided yes. I was too young to really know what the actual situation was. I just know that actually more than half didn't want it, but it still got chosen on, and so more than half of my church's congregation left, and my family was one of those people who decided to leave. And at the time, like I said, the reason that it matters so much that that it wasn't that big of a deal to me is because when we stopped going to church, it wasn't a big deal to me. And so for about 3 or 4 years, I was never in church at all. For about 3 or 4 years, I didn't go to church. I didn't involve myself in it whatsoever because like I said, I was too young to really know what happened, but I just know that a lot of people stopped going when that happened. And so for these 3 or 4 years, I can truthfully tell you that those were some of the worst years of my life and most rough years of my life. During these years, I really didn't have any friends. I isolated myself. I was very much not social, so to speak. I got home. I was lazy. I did nothing. I did nothing in terms of things other than school, things outside of school. I went to school and then I came home and I did absolutely 100% nothing. And it was during this time that I really realized what my biggest personal fear is. And my biggest personal fear, and it still is to this day, is being nothing, being insignificant, and as if, I felt that at that time that I wasn't doing anything. I wasn't important. I had nothing to really say. I accomplished this and I did that, so to speak. I felt like I was nothing. And that was my greatest fear. I began to hectically try and solve this fear by filling the void of my life with things like magic. All right, this is the time where I discovered magic, and I wanted to be accepted so badly. Because like I said, at this time I felt like I was nothing. So my strive was to try and be accepted. And I started doing magic to my peers and whatnot. But like I said, at that time, I was I won't lie, I was very early into magic, so I wasn't that great at it. And I was really awkward and stuff when I performed. And I can tell you, I remember the first time I ever performed for any of my peers at school, I got made fun of so much. I did the trick really well. I remember what it was. I did the trick really well, but I was just so nervous and shy and awkward that I got made fun of a lot. And it was in this moment when I can tell you that I started to have this self-hatred, so to speak. And I've never been seriously depressed in my life or really sad or down about something, and I'm really thankful for that. I've never really ever struggled with depression or anything like that, and I'm very blessed and thankful for that. But I can tell you, I really didn't like my personality. I didn't like my persona. I didn't like myself. And I began to try and change things about myself. And through this, I created Artifice. And Artifice, in my mind at the time, was an envisionment of everything I wished I could be, but wasn't. Artifice was the type of guy who could go up to a group of people, not nervous whatsoever, do magic, blow their minds, and be perfect. You know, he was the guy who could publicly speak in front of everyone and not have a single issue with it. He was what I wanted to be. I wanted to be confident and outgoing and spontaneous, and you know, in my idolization of what I wanted to be, because like I said, he was the mental picture I had of, I wish I could be like that. And it didn't even just involve magic, it was everything. I wanted to feel that I mattered, because I didn't like myself, and I didn't like that if I were to vanish or disappear from the world right then and there, that not many people would even remember me. I wasn't accomplishing anything at that time in my life, and that's why I created Artifice as this vision of what I wanted to be, because at that time I wasn't doing anything with my life, and I began to hate myself. And so through this idolization of this person I wished I could be, I began to spastically change myself. I changed my hair. I changed the glasses I wore. I changed the clothes I wore. I changed everything visual about myself, and it didn't end there. I changed all of my personality traits as well. I tried everything I possibly could to break my nervous and shy and awkward side. I went to leadership things. I learned how to interact and talk with people. I learned about social dynamics and interaction. I learned how to be really spontaneous and outgoing and confident. I worked on confidence a bunch, and I changed everything about myself so I could be what I wanted to be. And that's always hard for me, because I always look upon that time in my life where I started to change everything about myself. I always look back on that, and it's always going to be a question in my life is did God mean for me to be the first person, or the person I changed myself into? And that's always a hard question, because if I hadn't changed myself into the person that I am right now, I wouldn't be doing this. I wouldn't have created Now I See. I wouldn't even have met God, and you'll see why in just a second. So after I had done all these things, I soon realized that although I kind of changed myself to be this certain person, this certain figure, it didn't change anything about that fear. I still felt like, well, what have I actually done? What action have I actually taken to make an impact on the world? What actual action have I done that would impact or change the world, or change some people's lives to be better and whatnot? What have I actually done? And in this, I realized that all the things that I just tried to do to make myself feel important really didn't do anything. It didn't do anything. I still felt just as lost and hopeless as I was before. And in this, I realized that I felt, and I like to think of it like this, I felt like a lost dog. In the movies, you know, have you ever watched a dog movie, you know, and then let's say the dog like wanders off and gets lost, or the owners lose him, or he runs away or whatever, and they're just out in the world. You know, it shows like the cinematic scenes of the dog just wandering for ages, not knowing where he's actually going. That's where I realized I was at, because I had just put in all this work and it did absolutely nothing. And I started to realize I was lost. What was I doing? I just wasted all that time. I had no idea where I was, what I was doing, or what I was going or supposed to be doing. I was lost. And this was gut-wrenching for me, because then my fear of being absolutely nothing drove me even farther. Until one day, I came to church. I remember the day. I woke up, I got on Google Maps. I think this is what happened. I think I got on Google Maps, and I was just searching for churches or something like that. Or no, I think I just searched for churches, and it took me to Google Maps. But anyways, all you need to know is that I remember this day very vividly. I don't know why I wanted to go to church. All of a sudden, I just woke up and had this urge. I don't know why I wanted to go to church. I don't know why I just happened to choose the church that I did. I don't know why any of this even happened. And it blows my mind to this day. So I asked my mom if she could take me to church, and she drove me to church for one day, and I remember walking through the front doors of the church, and then here's the main worship area, where all the adults go, and they have a youth room, but I didn't know they had a youth room. Nobody gave me any directions to the youth room, and I didn't know where it was. It's the first time I'd actually ever seen the layout of the building. I didn't even know where it was. I passed the main worship area, and I went down a hall, and then I opened some doors, and I went down another hall, and I opened some doors, and then and so I found the youth area, and then nobody was in it, and I just happened to open this door that was to the right, because I was just looking for people. And I opened, like I said, I felt like a lost, wandering dog that had no idea where I was going. I was lost, I don't know how, I just happened to stumble into this place, and I opened the door to the lounge of the youth area, to a lounge where everybody was hanging out. And I opened it about a quarter of the way, and then it stopped. All right? I opened it about a quarter of the way, and it stopped, and I hit something. The door hit something. And I didn't know it at first. And then I realized it was a chair. It was a chair. I hit a chair, and then that person, whoever was sitting in that chair, scooted forward a little bit, and so I opened the door another 3/4 of the way. And so the person that was in the chair, after I had opened the door more to see what was in, the person that was in the chair was my friend Ryan. And again, I didn't know him at the time though. I hardly knew any of these people. And Ryan turns around, and being kind of silly and joking, he turns around and he's like all serious and looks at me. He turns around in his chair, and it startled me, all right? And then he just screams my name at the top of his lungs, tackles me and bear hugs me. It nearly, I'm surprised it didn't break one of my ribs or something. He squeezed me so hard. And then once that was over, then I actually walked into the room, and I saw Will and Logan and Katie and KT and Jordan and Nathan and all of them were there. All the people in that room were my friends, are my current friends. That's all. In case I forget someone, all of them were the people that were there. And I can tell you honestly and 100%, I felt so lost. And as soon as I opened that door, I felt like I was home. I felt right at home. And I'm talking not even 2 weeks into actually knowing them, then I got invited to a bonfire to come hang out with all of them, and then they peer pressured me into retreats and youth camp, and then I actually got to know God. And then I met Christ through them. They showed me. I was shown what God was like through them. My entire life that I went to church, I didn't take it seriously, I didn't care, I didn't actually ever get to know God. And I opened that door, and I can tell you that was the greatest decision of my entire life. They quickly took me in, and then they invited me to a retreat, and then youth camp, and then all these great things. And then I started going to every event with them, and then I came to know Christ, and then so many great things have come out of that. I attribute everything that I've ever done in my entire life so far, I attribute all this, and the creation of Now I See, and the videos I make, and the magic I do, all of this I attribute to two things, and that's God and my friends. My friends motivate me, and they are the people that push me. They're the people that I look to when I'm thinking about something I'm doing. They're my greatest motivators, even if they don't know it. If you're listening to this and you don't know it, you guys are my greatest motivators, and they truly are. I don't know where I'd be without them to push me to the things that I'm doing right now and all the great things I've accomplished. They're just such a great support, and the church in general is a great support. And through this, now I see that my God doesn't forsake me. One, I see that my God doesn't forsake me. Even in those years that I wasn't with him, he was with me. And he was just waiting for me to open that door, so to speak. He was just waiting for me to come back to him. He was always there, even when I rejected him. And secondly, I also see now that what I am and what I have and what I'm doing and everything that I am involved in is important, and that I am significant, and that I have so many great things that are going to make such an impact in this world both the things that I'm currently doing, both the things that I have done, the things I'm currently doing, and the things yet to come. And I'm so excited for all the great things that I'm going to do in my lifetime. I've learned that I'm important and that what I'm doing is significant. Even when I thought it wasn't, even during those years where I thought that what I was doing didn't matter, it did matter. And there's just, I can't be more thankful and consider myself any more lucky than I am right now for all the friends I have and for my relationship with Christ to be so strong as it is, and for all the things that God has given me and that God has let me be a part of. So thank you all so much for clicking on this video. My name's Artifice again, and this is only the first of many. I thought I'd kick this off because it's only fair since I'm asking for other people to share their stories as well. But this is only the first of many. So with that said, thank you all so much for watching, and I will see you guys in the next one.